Have you ever wondered why people react to you in certain ways? Why a simple smile, a well-timed compliment, or even the way you dress can change someone's perception of you? These aren't coincidences, they're deeply rooted in psychology. Today, we'll explore 5 weird psychological facts that reveal just how fascinating the human mind can be. And trust me, by the time we're done, you'll see yourself, and others, differently. Stick around because each fact builds on the last, and you don't want to miss the final one. 1. Calling someone by their name makes them like you more. Think about the last time someone used your name unexpectedly. Maybe it was a cashier who handed you your receipt and said, "Thanks, Alex," or a colleague who greeted you with, "Good morning, Sarah." How did it make you feel? Odds are, it left a positive impression. Hearing your name activates a part of your brain called the medial prefrontal cortex. This area is tied to identity and rewards. Simply put, it makes us feel important and recognized. Story time. In the early 1900s, Dale Carnegie, the author of How to Win Friends and Influence People, traveled the US giving seminars. He had a unique skill. He could memorize hundreds of names and use them seamlessly in conversations. People left his events not just impressed but feeling special, all because he used their names. Why does this work? Your name is deeply personal. From the time you're born, it's tied to your identity. It's the word you hear most throughout your life. So, when someone uses it in a conversation, it creates an instant connection. Try this. Next time you're meeting someone new or even talking to a friend, sprinkle their name into the conversation. Watch how their eyes light up. If you've used this trick before, comment below. I'd love to know how it worked for you. 2. People often judge you by your shoes, not your face. When you meet someone for the first time, what do you think they notice about you? Your smile? Your eyes? Think again, it's your shoes. Studies show that people subconsciously associate certain personality traits with the shoes you wear. For instance, well-kept, polished shoes suggest you're organized and confident, while worn-out shoes might signal carelessness. Story time. There's a famous story about an entrepreneur named Brian who was heading into a high-stakes investor meeting. On his way, his coffee spilled on his shoes. Instead of cleaning them, he rushed to the meeting, thinking no one would notice. The investors did, and one of them later admitted that Brian's messy appearance made them doubt his attention to detail. He didn't secure the funding. Why does this happen? Shoes are one of the first things people notice because they're at eye level when you're walking or sitting. They're also a subtle indicator of your lifestyle, profession, or personality. Takeaway. Want to make a good first impression? Pay attention to your shoes. They're like a silent business card you carry everywhere. What's your go-to pair for important occasions? Let me know in the comments. 3. Smiling at someone who insults you can upset them more. Have you ever been insulted and felt the urge to snap back? Next time, try this. Smile. It's one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to disarm someone. Here's why. When people insult you, they're expecting a reaction, anger, frustration, or even tears. But when you smile, it throws them off. It sends the message that their words don't affect you, which can be more frustrating than any comeback. Story time. There's a classic story about Winston Churchill. During a heated debate, one of his rivals insulted him, calling him a drunk. Churchill smiled and replied, "Yes, but in the morning, I will be sober, and you will still be ugly." The room erupted in laughter, and Churchill walked away the clear winner, not because he fought back, but because he stayed calm and witty. Why it works. Smiling is a psychological power move. It shows confidence and emotional control. The next time someone tries to get under your skin, smile, and watch how it flips the dynamic. If you've tried this, share your experience below. I'd love to hear your story. 4. After death, the body stays active for 7 minutes. This fact is as eerie as it is fascinating. After death, your brain doesn't shut down immediately. Instead, it stays active for about 7 minutes, replaying your memories like a movie reel. Story time. There's a man named Joe who survived a near-death experience after a car accident. He described seeing flashes of his childhood, his first love, even small moments like playing in the rain as a kid. It felt like his life was rewinding in vivid detail. Scientists believe this happens because, in those final moments, the brain releases a surge of chemicals, creating a hyper-detailed montage of your life. This phenomenon is still being studied, but it raises fascinating questions. What memories will play in your final moments? The happiest ones? The regrets? If this fact made you think, hit the like button. It helps others discover videos like this. 5. Students scared of school often become successful later. School isn't always easy, and for some students, it's downright terrifying. But here's the twist. Many of the most successful people hated school or struggled in it. Storytime. Albert Einstein is a perfect example. He found traditional education boring and often clashed with teachers. But his curiosity and drive to learn on his own terms eventually led to groundbreaking discoveries in physics. Another example is Richard Branson, the founder of Virgin Group. He struggled with dyslexia and dropped out of school at 16. Teachers labeled him a failure, but he proved them wrong by building a business empire. Why it happens? Traditional school systems reward conformity, but success often requires creativity and out-of-the-box thinking. For students who don't fit into the mold, school can feel stifling. Their struggles can fuel their determination to prove everyone wrong. Takeaway. If you hated school or felt out of place, you're not alone. It might just mean you're destined for something extraordinary. If this resonates, share your story. I'd love to hear how you overcame challenges. 6. Successful and beautiful people are the most admired people line up to take selfies with? It's no secret, successful and beautiful people are often placed on a pedestal. There's actually a psychological explanation for this. It's called the halo effect. This cognitive bias makes us associate one positive trait, like beauty or success, with other qualities, such as intelligence or kindness. Storytime. Let's take Marilyn Monroe as an example. She was adored for her beauty, but this admiration often overshadowed her intelligence and business savvy. Few people know she was a co-founder of her own film production company, a rarity for women in Hollywood at the time. But here's the flip side. This admiration can come at a cost. Successful and beautiful people often face intense scrutiny. Think about the endless speculation around celebrities' personal lives. The pressure to maintain their perfect image can be overwhelming. Takeaway. While it's natural to admire success and beauty, remember there's more to people than what meets the eye. And if you've ever been in the spotlight, even briefly, let me know in the comments, what was it like? 7. Talking to yourself often means you're very smart. Have you ever caught yourself talking to yourself? Maybe while working through a problem or rehearsing an important conversation. It might seem odd, but it's actually a sign of intelligence. Talking to yourself, also known as self-talk, helps you organize your thoughts, solve problems, and even regulate your emotions. In fact, athletes and performers often use self-talk to boost their confidence and focus. Storytime. Take Serena Williams, for example. During tennis matches, she's often seen muttering to herself. It's her way of staying focused and strategizing in real time. And clearly, it works. She's one of the greatest athletes of all time. Why does this happen? Scientists believe self-talk activates your brain's language and reasoning centers, helping you process information more effectively. It's like having a brainstorming session with yourself. Challenge. Next time you're stuck on a problem, try talking it out. Say your thoughts out loud and see how it changes your perspective. If you already do this, share your experience in the comments. How has self-talk helped you? 8. People who've been betrayed become more careful and smart. Betrayal is one of the hardest things to go through. Whether it's a friend, partner, or colleague, being betrayed shakes your trust in people. But here's the silver lining. Betrayal often makes people more careful and, ultimately, smarter. Why? Because betrayal teaches you to spot red flags and set boundaries. It forces you to reevaluate who you trust and how much you share. Storytime. There's a well-known story about a young entrepreneur named Sarah who started a business with her best friend. Things were great, until Sarah discovered her friend had been stealing money from the company. It was devastating, but Sarah didn't give up. Instead, she learned to manage her finances more carefully and built a thriving business on her own. Takeaway. Betrayal hurts, but it's also a powerful teacher. If you've been betrayed, think of it as a painful but valuable lesson. And if you're comfortable, share your story in the comments. It could help someone else going through a similar experience. 9. You feel happier remembering good times than living them. Isn't it strange how we often feel happier thinking about good memories than we did when we were actually living them? This is because of something psychologists call rosy retrospection. When we look back on experiences, our brains focus on the highlights and filter out the negative parts. It's like editing a photo to make it look better than reality. Story time. A family vacation might seem stressful in the moment. Long lines, arguments, missed flights. But years later, what do you remember? The laughter, the beautiful sunsets, the shared meals. Your brain edits out the bad parts, leaving only the good. This is why people often say, those were the good old days. It's not that life was actually better, it's that our brains remember it that way. Challenge. Take a moment to reflect on a happy memory. Write it down or share it in the comments. What details stand out? You might be surprised by how much joy it brings you. 10. Most things people text aren't said face to face. Have you ever texted something you wouldn't dare say in person? Maybe it was a heartfelt confession, an apology, or even an argument. This happens because texting gives us a sense of anonymity and distance. Story time. Think about online dating. People often feel bolder when messaging a match, sharing personal details or making jokes they'd be too shy to say face to face. But when they meet in person, that confidence sometimes disappears. Why? Because texting removes the pressure of immediate feedback. You don't have to see the other person's reaction, which makes it easier to be honest, or, in some cases, to say things you shouldn't. Takeaway. While texting is convenient, it's important to remember that it's not a substitute for real conversation. If there's something important you need to say, try saying it in person. It might feel harder, but it's often more meaningful. Have you ever said something over text you couldn't say face to face? Let me know in the comments. These psychological facts show just how fascinating and complex the human mind really is. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves learning about psychology. And if any of these facts resonated with you, comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.